the idea was quite simple. I needed it. PosterGully was purely a passion project. I think of businesses as not something that's close to my heart. I'm not emotional with. If you raise capital, the only way you can create wealth for all the stakeholders involved and for yourself, because founders do not typically make a lot of money with salaries or other things, right? I mean, it's going to be lesser than, let's say at your position, at your skills, that somebody else would get in another company. For us, I think the interesting aspect of entrepreneurship is wealth creation. And this is again my biggest learning. Sometimes we undersize the markets that we operate in because of all the external rescue that we're launching next month. So my point is that there's a lot of effort that has gone, and I think people close to me would say that it's all a master plan. It it all, like, you write something down. It might not happen now. It might happen 12 months from now, but it's all all these moving parts kind of come together and help in execution of this master plan. Money will follow. I mean, money always follows if you build something.
So hi everyone, hi friends. I guess we're just building up on our series of engagements with we've had some investors and entrepreneurs in the past, and going forward we'll have some more candid deep diving discussions. Today I have my friend Bharat with me, and as you can see the spark and the rage in his face, he's also launched some multiple brands in a short span of time in a young age. And I'm sure we'll be able to deep dive into some of his learnings and experiences that he's had through starting up in an early age, and building some brands, exiting from them, setting them off, setting up again from a scratch, raising fund again. I think it's been quite a thrilling, entertaining, and roller coaster ride that he's had. So over to you, Bharat. I think thank you so much for confirming to speak with me. And over to you. Why don't you just give a quick intro about you, about your school life, about your entrepreneurial gigs or during school, college, just a brief about how you landed up into entrepreneurship starting from your school, college life.
Thank you for having me here, Amit. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I think entrepreneurship was not something that I had planned on, and it came very naturally to me. It wasn't something of an event that I had to do it. I had to start something. I was very enterprising right through my school days to my college days. I had started something in school, because of all the restrictions, I couldn't kind of take it up with full enthusiasm. In college, I started working with someone who was an entrepreneur, and made some money as a college kid. And then PosterGully happened in 2012. I was still in my job at that time. Very quickly into the jobs that I was taking up, I realized that's not for me. And I had like 3 jobs in 18 months or so. The last one that I did at that time was like a microscopic view of startups, because I was working with entrepreneurs directly, and that to me just told me one thing, that starting up a company isn't as difficult as it might seem. Although I made
subconscious, but you just needed that push.
Yeah. And it was tough, man. Like, those days were really tough in terms of doing the work that I did. Felt that it wasn't up to my standards, and I was I had a lot more potential. And always, obviously, what happens is that time, one thing that always rang in my mind was that what's there to lose right now? With the baggage in life, there will be much more to lose. And if I find something that's worth pursuing, why not go for it? And I think I took my time. Even at that time, I wouldn't say that I jumped into the first thing that I was excited about. But there were multiple reasons why entrepreneurship made sense. It was just the right time for me. And in retrospect, I would say that I wish I had more learnings at that time, because for us, the kind of time it took to go from 0 to 1, we could have done that in probably 1/3 or 1/4 the time. But but all of that, is all in retrospect. It's entrepreneurship is about a lot of ups and downs and learnings and
Bharat, how was
challenges
your
from your own journey.
early fundraising experience? I mean, where did this concept, I mean, was it through media? Was it through reading journals? Was it, I mean, how did it strike you that I had to raise funds, and how did you, have that initial pitch? Where did you find your investors? I mean, just quickly run through the first fundraising that you did for PosterGully.
Fundraising was an alien concept to me in 2013. I just didn't understand what it means. So, and it was not something that I had, an idea of that it exists also, that, oh, somebody will give me money for building a company. So, venture capital or private equity or angel investors, those were all alien terms to me. What happened was that PosterGully started to gain traction very rapidly because there was nothing like it. And we created quite a phenomenal kind of a product. I only realized the multiple dimensions that the product and the service had, and those came with my interactions with fellow friends and customers, and that happened over a period of 6 months. And then a friend of mine at Bits Pilani, he basically they do a entrepreneurship competition or a business plan competition called Conquest. And he pursued me. He said, you have to take part in it. And he kept on, talking to me about it. And that's when that day we were runners up. I think we came third or second. I don't remember correctly, but we essentially at that time realized there's a lot more value in what we're doing. And then investors started to kind of chase us, but I did not know how to deal with them. I had no idea. So, we got some term sheets. I think about 2 months from that day, we got term sheets that, we were not able, and like I was not ready to part with my equity for capital. That just didn't sound, I come from business family, it just didn't sound the right kind of thing to do at that stage. And this entire thing, till about 9 months or so, I was still in my job. So I quit my job. Then I had plans to scale the company. The first fundraise that actually happened was, I think, 1 year after this time. So, we were interacting with GSF, and GSF, was the first seed investor in our company through multiple, angel investors. And after that, we raised on more capital, but we were always a very, very tight ship. We were able to do 10x of revenue, of what we were able to or what we raised in terms of financing. So, we were a 20 people team, 25 people team. Even at the peak, we were able to do about $2 million in, top line, made, very good money for stakeholders. So all of that happened. And I think that's what taught me. I mean, it was a crash course in entrepreneurship, because every day was like new type of learning at PosterGully.
Being an entrepreneur, I guess you learned it on the field only. So that's how it was. But just taking a step back, I mean, where did this idea of PosterGully come from? And were there any co-founders, or it was just something that you started and you took it from, end to end?
I think I was the captain of the ship. There were people who I gotten with me. I kind of tied with me, and I started to kind of take my, with me on this journey. But, it's only very late I realized that co-founder is a very, very serious, strong term. So I was the only one as the captain of the ship, but I built a very strong team, and that really the concept of middle management, top management at that time was, again, something that I had no experience in. But what I knew was that, we got to give people, we got to create wealth for them. We got to give them a part of the company if the company is succeeding, how to retain top performers, how to retain great people. So all of that was always there, but those kind of, that lingo didn't exist with me at that time. So it was started by me. The idea was quite simple. I needed it. PosterGully was purely a passion project. But it's only when I started it, I realized the market is huge. The opportunities to go into other areas and kind of allied markets and other interesting overlapping markets was very, very something that I did not experience before. So yeah, I mean, it was by me, and it was a pure passion project. again, in retrospect, and my learnings and my workings to start Rage, Samaban Commerce Private Limited, which is what I started in 2018, is completely different. There was about a year, just about 12 months of just understanding the market. So that's how much kind of I evolved over time.
That is brilliant. I think the way you've narrated your journey. I think just starting something from a scratch and taking it to a level, and then also I guess there's an acquisition that happened of your brand. So how did that happen?
Yes.
How did you get acquired, and how were the returns that you received, your investors received, and on what terms did you part way with your role with the PosterGully, since it was so close to your heart? I mean, since you started for yourself.
See, that's again, PosterGully. I think of businesses as not something that's close to my heart. I'm not emotional with my businesses, but the objective of that business should be what you start out with. I think, at
Basically,
least
you're also a
in a
typical.
broad perspective.
You're also one founder that believes in sales as the main mantra, and that is the whole motto.
Yeah, I think that's the only way. See, if you raise capital, the only way you can create wealth for all the stakeholders involved and for yourself, because founders do not typically make a lot of money with salaries or other things, right? I mean, it's going to be lesser than, let's say at your position, at your skill set, somebody else would get in another company. For us, I think the interesting aspect of entrepreneurship is wealth creation and financially, apart from, of course, a lot of other reasons of purpose and significance in life. uh, when it comes to finances, it's not as if entrepreneurs will make a lot of money typically in their journey of entrepreneurship. So equity is very critical and equity is important, because that's what creates wealth over a period of time. So for us, I understand the value of giving exits and also understand the value of giving exit to the promoters and myself as a founder, right? So that's very fundamental, either through sales or through acquisitions or through further financing, whatever it is. But that comes with time again. That's not something that, you would understand when you start out on this journey. It takes time. It took me time at least. But yeah, the acquisition came at a time when we were fundraising, and 2016, this is early 2016 and late 2015, when the market, the fundraising market just kind of evaporated suddenly. That was the first time we started to see dips in angel investing, and overall venture capital kind of fell down. There was about a period of about 6 months to 12 months, and we were raising capital, and entrepreneurship kind of takes a toll on you also. And I just thought at that time, PosterGully had a phenomenal opportunity ahead of it. And I just think, very candidly with you, I'm sharing, I think it was too early to get acquired. We still had a long way ahead of us. But I think the idea of giving an exit to shareholders, taking time off to fundamentally understand if this is what I want to do for the next 10 years of my life, this kind of is the market that I want to be in. And that opportunity was too irresistible, frankly. It was something that gave us all that we needed at that time. We needed to survive the team. We needed capital to survive and continue to kind of exist. And so yeah, so it was a great deal, irresistible. In retrospect, I shouldn't have done that.
Okay, got that. I mean, it's all a part of your life and journey and learning cycle.
Yeah.
That's how you evolve.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
thanks to you that you're sharing it candidly. That's really good. I mean, obviously from your learning, someone else could learn. So what was your, I mean, I get that. So what was your biggest regret? I mean, why do you think that it was a regret in the first place? If you'd like to talk about it.
Sometimes we, and this is again my biggest learning, sometimes we undersize the markets that we operate in because of all the external pressure that's created. See, brand building needs time. Brand building is not about, you can't push a brand down someone's throat. PosterGully is still existing, by the way, still operational, still the market leader in two categories that they operate in. Okay. And some of our competitors and two of our competitors that, we were leading with that time neck to neck. Again, the business was phenomenal in terms of cost structures and, everything. So it was a profitable business and, made a lot of money for everyone who was involved. So uh, those two competitors are on a 100 crore run rate at the moment. And that's only 4 years. We could have been that. So we undersold ourselves. We underestimated the size of the market and an adjacent market that was there that we hadn't really cracked, which was apparels. We never went into apparels. And apparels is the category that was the winning category for these two competitors. And we were ahead of them in 2016. So I think, but it's all in retrospect, man. It's also learnings. It's
Yeah.
also learnings. That's what I'm telling you. It's not a regret, honestly. If it hadn't had happened, I don't think Rage would have been there. Somaban, the parent company of Rage would have existed,
I guess it's a
and
lesson
people
on
would not have.
it's a lesson on decision making. I guess that's how you create mental models of your own life, maybe because that is how you revisit some of your decisions that you would have taken earlier, and that's how I do it personally in my life. Also, I go back at some points of time in my life, and I think if I would have gone the other way around, what would have happened, and that's how you sort of evolve. That okay, you can learn out of your journeys. It's actually not a regret,
Absolutely,
like you've said it. It's
man.
not a regret. It's just
Entrepreneurship is all about learning. It's only about learning. If you can't absorb really well, I think one of the top qualities of a successful entrepreneur is absorbing around surroundings and around what's happening. Because if you can catch the pulse, and if you are the first one or the early movers to catch that pulse, you're going to do well. Ceteris paribus, you're going to do well and fare well than your competition. But again, it takes time.
of course, of course.
It
Yeah.
cannot be. I don't think it can be taught. It can be learned. It can only come with experience. And that's a trait.
What next happened after PosterGully? How did you land up in iDecorama, and what was the thought behind it?
So so iDecorama was a B2B e-commerce platform. E-commerce, again, e-commerce has been my core skill strength, and it has, I have deep insights into the market. So B2B was something that I was very interested in. I, saw that wave also coming about, B2B e-commerce. There was a chance, an opportunity to create large, I think, brands, and it was not a winner takes all play like B2C e-commerce. So we could have built very industry specific B2B e-commerce platforms, and they could have each been very successful, and been able to do really well. Apart from creating wealth also for all the stakeholders. So iDecoro was basically in the building materials, architecture, and interior designing space. Fundamentally, at the bottom, it was a e-commerce and tech play, and also an operations play, something that I have been doing for a long time. It was also a lot of sales, man. That's something that I'm very excited to do all the time. I think every entrepreneur is a salesman. You're selling the company all the time. You're selling yourself, you're selling your customers, you're the product, you're selling the company to your employees. So I think because it involved a lot of B2B sales, and I thought it was very interesting for me. The entire model and the investors were very credible, extremely experienced professionals in this space. We had people in companies which are market leaders in their categories, public companies, 3,000, 4,000 crores in top line annualized. These people participated. There's a lot of conviction what we were building. Amit, I can't hear you.
Are you still continuing with the brand, or is the brand alive? Because I guess you made a move from it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So I, in 2017, uh, November, I moved out, and I sold my stake to the promoters.
Okay.
And that's when Somavan Commerce Private Limited started. The goal with the company was, I saw a wave of direct to consumer coming in. It was the right time in India to build something in the an underserved category of FMCG online. Lots of opportunity, because I had already had about a good 6-7 years of experience in e-commerce and understanding the market. I was very, very close to the customer. I have, understanding of how retail works, how offline retail works. I mean, there was a lot of
So
learnings that I had
how did
gathered
you
by that
come up
time.
with the whole brand, the whole idea of this, Rage Coffee? And I mean, I saw your website. You put up very distinctly, the comparisons with the other two, stakeholders and how you differentiate better with them. So I mean, obviously, it's a very clear cut, thought through process. Which segment you're targeting,
Yeah.
what are your customers, and how you're going to market that. I mean, that seems very seamless. So I mean, but where did you come up with this whole idea, and how did you position it? How did you reach out to your investors, and how did that happen? All of it.
So, Amit, see, when you have experience in entrepreneurship, one good thing about that is you make fewer mistakes, and because you make fewer mistakes, uh, the your chance at success increases, right? There is a better chance at succeeding, and there is a faster chance at succeeding also. And I think that's what really played in this case, because I took time. I took about almost a year in figuring out everything: branding, marketing, team. I had people lined up, with me. I was paying them salaries. I had set aside a corpus of a lot of money, that almost all of my savings, uh, everything that I had in this company, for this company. The plan was to reach a certain top line, uh, in 18 months, in 24 months. We had planned even the SKUs of 2 years from now, what we wanted to do, which is not something that typically you'd see startups do.
Yeah.
Because of all that, our marketing playbook was written, our brand playbook was written. We had clear understanding of our customers and how we have to evolve those customer segments. Of course, things change, but because we had done all of this, because we understood, and I had, uh, set out by building the team first, and a lot of other things. But the idea was to build a 500 crore company in 5 years, but that was digitally native. That means that the DNA of the FMCG company that we're building is that it's going to market the products fundamentally digitally, you know with data and analytics, and being close to our customers, giving them phenomenal customer service, and building very differentiated products, something that really stands out in the market. So we, for one of the SKUs that we're launching now, we've been working for almost a year now. Last year in September, I started working on this one SKU that we're launching next month. So my point is that there's a lot of effort that has gone, and I think people close to me would say that it's all a master plan. It it all, like, you write something down. It might not happen now. It might happen 12 months from now. But it's all like all these moving parts kind of come together and help in execution of this master plan.
That's brilliant. I guess, I mean, the amount of energy, obviously, that you're putting in. And I also, I mean, the first look, actually, incidentally, a few months back, so I have not been very much upbeat on social media, but a few months back, I just, obviously everyone's ordering online. So I was just checking the milk basket, list, and I saw Rage Coffee. I've certainly seen this brand somewhere else also. So I went back, I said, oh, this is Bharat. So, I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, your brand is going everywhere. And then when you just search online, it's everywhere, and then you see that it's really a brand kind of a feel. I mean, obviously, there are
Right.
a number of
Thank
brands.
you.
There's a first
Thank you.
look of another brand that you have a look and you can feel the difference. So why coffee again? My question is why coffee, and how did you
White coffee. Okay.
branding, and how did you, and how much are you involved in sourcing them, and then the way you're projecting your quality. So what is the, I'm sure there's a lot of in-depth analysis that has gone out there. So if you'd like to share some of that.
Uh, you know, Coffee. Why? The first answer to that is I tested and I know the market from the customer's viewpoint a lot. I was spending a lot of time in at the retailers, in supermarkets, in modern trade, in kind of general trade stores. In the first half of 2018, because I was building something, and Rage happened because Somavan had started and wanted to do something that was fundamentally different. So, a lot of customer feedback I started to take when I was at the retailers, right? Coffee, to answer it in a very simple way, it fell at the right intersection of my passion and a market opportunity, a huge one. And they were not just one, but it was like a blank canvas. But again, when you look at this segment, you look at it and you realize, oh, it's the big guys, it's a big boys club. It's the uh, imported coffee is coming into India, which is quality wise, which is better. And there's a lot of action also, right? How do you create something that's fundamentally different? So backward integration to me is very important. We have our own manufacturing. We most of the stuff, we don't like to reinvent the wheel, but sourcing is very critical to us. Our production processes, the processing is very critical to us. The entire way the team is kind of working on it in terms of the processing we do. So we introduce something like the shots. It's something that has never been done before. So it's not like a copy paste, or we could, get somebody to do it for us like contract manufacturer. We tried to, but it's just not possible. So all of that really kind of, because of our experience with PosterGully and manufacturing and operations, warehousing, logistics, all of that really, told me that this is something that is a very high barrier to entry. It's very capital intensive for people who don't know how to do it. For people who, or for people with the insider knowledge, who be able to do it very well. And then the distribution play was always there. The branding play is something that we wanted to create. And as I told you, even right now, I have a list of 10 to 12 SKUs that have never been done before, that we will do. And even at that time, I had created and we have executed on all of those points. So I think because we're able to create such distinguished products or differentiable products, that gives us more power, okay, to say that why not give Indians, why not give our customers, our country, something that has never been done before, or just very high quality and at an affordable price. See, sustainability, inclusiveness, all of that is very important to us also, all of this. But how do we tell customers this? Because we're a DTC play, we can tell. Because it's important to us, our customers also feel it. They empathize with our mission of good coffee, right? So there's a lot of factors, but overall, I think coffee was an interesting segment to go after.
Got it. I think that's pretty insightful, and I guess also audacious in a way, and the kind of competitors that you put aside your brand. Obviously, I guess you've thought through that plan. And so, I mean, did you never think of this in a way that I mean, there are so many other tea coffee brands that, like you said, I mean, the big ones also, and some other funded folks who are also opening up offline outlets. I mean, in retrospect, obviously, this is a brilliant model that you've done. And anyways, it is good because this is something you're comfortable with and it's in your DNA. But did you never
Correct.
thought of going out offline, building up outlets, and doing something like that?
Not really. Not at this point in time. It's not something. When we have a much bigger brand, I think a more well-recognized brand, that might happen. It's not. Still don't have my eyes on going QSR or going food service. We are a packaged coffee company, and we would like to stay that way, at least in the foreseeable future. But beyond that, I think competition is very, very critical. And if you don't understand what gap you're filling, then it would have been very disastrous for us, in fact, because you would never have been able to kind of create a dent in that category. We are category creators. We are creating a category of functional coffee which has never existed before. Functional coffee, or caffeine in general, innovation in caffeine is at the peak in the West. Why not in India? Why aren't we innovating for an ingredient that's the world's second most traded commodity? Right? There are
Yes.
so many
No, no, no.
consumers.
I mean, you are coming up
India is the seventh largest exporter of coffee,
right.
but it's not even in the top 50 when it comes to consumption per capita. My point is that there are so many gaps, right? So, and I would like to answer this in one question, really. One statement, sorry, which is uh, play in big markets. That was my learning from PosterGully and iDecorama both. The journey is hard as it is. Your chances at success become 2x and even more if you play in large markets. So coffee or tea or beverages, is a very capital intensive category, and it can drain you of all you have, really honestly, because it's, frankly speaking, if you go the traditional way of distribution, any kind of money is less to build a brand. But because of direct to consumer, we have that opportunity. But no, but DTC has its own set of challenges and its own cost structures. But because I was, as you mentioned, it's in our DNA, we thought we have a better shot at success.
Got it. I think that is interesting. I think, I mean, obviously that is the learning, the evolution. I mean, you learn and you mastered it and then you continued with that. So I think it's pretty insightful, Bharat. Just to coming to an end of our discussion, I have some, quick questions, some rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
And I'd like you to answer whatever comes first in your mind. So, I mean, the first
Okay.
one, the first one is, who's your biggest inspiration in the startup ecosystem?
Globally or in India?
Whoever comes first.
Oh
Indian,
my God, that's
India, for example. Let's put it India.
Girish from Freshworks.
Fantastic. What's your favorite book?
The Art of War.
Fantastic. The first word that comes to your mind when I say social media?
Regulation needed.
Okay. What do you think about media and press?
Frankly, I don't know, man. Like what? I think it's evolving.
Right. Sports, since you're so fit and you're always in good shape and
I used to play football under 16 for Delhi.
wow.
Still, yeah. So football was my first love, in fact, ever in life.
Fantastic. So,
When I think of sports,
yeah,
Ronaldinho
fantastic. Family,
first,
team,
critical.
fantastic. I think that's all from my side. I mean, any closing remarks that you would like to because typically I presume a lot of young entrepreneurs, investors would be listening to this. So any closing remarks that you would like to leave off with us, whatever you have in mind around Rage or anything else,
I think to all the budding entrepreneurs who are listening, young entrepreneurs, founders, promoters, I think don't go after fundraising. Don't think of it as the holy grail of entrepreneurship, because I never started a company with that idea, and I have not shut any company. I think simply because I was not chasing any vanity metrics. So I think go after the customer, have your playbook really well, and figure out and have patience. Without patience, you'll not be able to succeed. And that's all, man. I think just go with the grind, and I think money will follow. I mean, money always follows if you build something substantial.
fantastic. I think I mean, it's really great to have this in-depth discussion with you, Bharat, and I learned some key features, some key thinking processes about you. I think I mean, you're very sorted when it comes to business. I'd say I mean, you treat it
Oh,
like
learning, man.
and then I presume you'll be one of those people who have a very I mean, who live by standards on a work-life balance, and equally splitting those two things apart, and you certainly derive some moral values from family, and you're putting that to work, and you're not looking back in retrospect with regrets. So I think that's a great learning again for entrepreneurs. I guess nowadays with the mental health and all of those things being discussed widely, I mean, everybody takes that, sort of really tough. I mean, obviously, there are high
Yeah,
lows in every part of life, but entrepreneurship obviously, takes another toll. I mean, because it becomes too close to
absolutely.
your heart, and obviously, I mean, your whole sort of life evolves around it. I mean, and if you're
It's
really
very
passionate
challenging,
about
man.
something, you just live. I'm sure you see coffee everywhere, wherever you walk in, wherever you go,
Yeah,
whenever you're watching television, social
right.
media. So I mean, it
Yeah,
becomes a part of your life, and if something
yeah,
becomes
it
part of
becomes.
your life and you have to let go of it, I think it becomes really sort of takes a toll on you. But
Yeah, it's very challenging. It's very
kudos to you,
challenging.
man. I mean, you're building your third brand in such a young age. All my best wishes to you, and I'm sure you'll go big. And it's a lovely brand again, that you've created. Especially, I mean, even the latest one from obviously PosterGully also. And I wish you all the luck and success in life. Thank you so much, Bharat, for spending time.
Thank you so much, Amit. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.